Can I beat Genshin Impact while beating myself? Yeah, no explanation needed. Here are the rules. First and foremost, I can only use one hand. Judging by the title of this video, you'll be able to figure out why. To make it harder, and title accurate, I've chosen to use my non-dominant hand, my left hand. Second rule, I can use both keyboard and mouse because quite frankly, it's impossible to beat the game with only one of them. I can use them however I want, as long as I'm only using one hand. Left hand and I are not very well acquainted, so for the most part, we're going to be using them separately. As a follow-up to this, I cannot change the bindings of any mouse buttons or keys. All characters and weapons are allowed, but no movement abilities like Mavuika's bike, because the harder, the better. But with that being said, let's get into gooning Impact. We first start off by spending 5 whole minutes setting up a webcam so you can see my ugly ass left hand and naming our traveler the only appropriate name, Gooner. Okay, I can't believe they let us do that. Starting off on the beaches of Mondstadt, the difficulty level is quite low. Moving around is essentially the same except we can't change our camera view. We're still able to run around, climb and bee-hop with no issue. If we do want to look in a certain direction, we can always jump off the keyboard and use the mouse, and even click the scroll wheel to instantly turn in the direction we're facing. I've got a dishwashing glove here. You can't see my hands. Oh, but that makes it so much harder. Ah, shit. You'll get to see my bare hand. And after slowly making our way over to the forest, we meet our very first obstacle, Amber. Here's an example of where this challenge is not so great. Any mechanic that requires me to use the mouse is going to be hard because, again, I'm not a left-handed user, so shooting stuff down like this is not going to be the most fun time. But hey, it's not fun if we don't struggle. We managed to shoot it down the very first try, and then collect 3 pieces of iron ore for later. We're this early in the run, and we've already encountered another problem, plunge attacks. You see, normally plunge attacks require you to use a normal attack above a certain height. Collecting these ores is such a simple task when you're able to consecutively click after jumping, but because we're one-handed, the only way to plunge attack is to quickly switch from the keyboard to the mouse. I have to be pretty accurate with my left hand, and luckily for me, I managed to jump to the left click flawlessly. And now for our first real fight. These helitrails are pretty easy, but as we progress, there's going to be a bunch of issues that will appear, so I'll save them for when they come up. Let's make our way over to Mondstadt. Okay, it's not letting me proceed on this, Let's do the skip. Whatever. Alright, Dvalin, do your worst. Now, even though this Dvalin fight uses the mouse, it's not all that bad. He has a massive hitbox and doesn't really move all that much, so we also don't have to move that much.
These two are travelers from afar.
I'm really not liking that name now.
My skin is 1 elemental particle away from a full-blown breakout.
I'm almost away from a full
If it were simply asked that you
But now we finally unlocked the second best thing for gooners, gambling. If you see my other videos, you might know that I have a notorious record for putting 4-star weapons on the first 10 pull, and this time I really want to change. Too many times has the greed controlled me. The beginner banner is right there. Characters that have ascension materials easy to obtain. A free Noel. 20% off. An absolute 0 chance to pull a 4-star weapon. It's literally everything I could have asked for. Yeah, so anyways, we put on the standard banner. Wow. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? What a great 4-star. We've got exactly 0 people that can use that. Thank you for the Fab Greatsword. So first up is Amber's domain, and if it takes me up to 20 minutes to do the skip with 2 hands, imagine what it's like with 1. So we complete this one normally. We bust all over these helitrails, light up the monument, and complete the domain. I'm kind of wasting time by doing these things, but I just want to test how hard they are. Like aiming for these things. Oh! Where's the last one? Okay, do we want to... Let's do this the cool way, shall we? Yeah.
Speaking of, did you know? Storm Terror was once one of the 4 winds.
I then got a bit peckish, so I grabbed the thing closest to me, which just so happened to be a juicy, long, yellow object. And of course, because my other hand was not available, I had to open this with 1 hand. That's a good banana. I got banana on one hand and banana in the other hand. Last up is Lisa's domain, and we add her to our party for safe measures, even though we attempted the skip. Now the problem with the skip is that we don't have access to the mouse while gliding, so I don't have optimal turning and gliding capabilities. You gotta be kidding me! Which did lead to a few fails, but I persevered through. The banana that I had just finished earlier was just proof of my undying dedication to become the ultimate Goon Lord, and so we finally landed safe and sound, clearing the domain and completing Act 1. Alright banana, you need to go. Goodbye. So now it's time to farm to AR10, so we claim our free XP in the Adventure Handbook and make our way over to the Statue of the Seven so that we can hit AR8. This unlocks the ley lines so we can hit out 10 in a row for some more adventure XP. The combat here is pretty straightforward. Most of the time I'm just moving around, switching characters and then using their skills. If everything is on cooldown, I just start normal attacking with the mouse. It is pretty annoying to move and then switch to the mouse to click a few times and then switch back to the keyboard to move again and then switch again and so on, but I started to get the hang of it after a few ley lines. But after reaching AR10, we get another 10 free pulls, and after that last horrific incident with the standard banner, there's absolutely zero chance the exact same thing happens. Act 2. First things first, we've got to chase down Venti using Elemental Sight, but I refuse to switch to the mouse for such a puny setback, so we bum rush our way through the city and finally catch up to Amber. And after Venti's yap, we hit AR12, which means it's time to complete some of our dailies. Timmy got his ducks fed, and then we made our way over to Cecilia Garden and completed this one. Both of these were relatively easy, but up next was the Eye of the Storm. This thing was a breeze. We just kept Amber out and gave it a lobotomy. So next up was the Holy Liar, and we've got to be quiet or Step Bro's gonna catch us. Again, the camera angle here sucks because we have to navigate the church without being caught, but even so, apart from this part here where we have to wait for the guard to go past, most of it is in the same direction. I've never realized this, but Paimon doesn't have a mask. What's the point of our mask if Paimon doesn't have a mask? It's not like every random person has a floating fairy next to them. Now for the Zamenhof fight, we get a Trial D-Luke. This is the perfect chance to try and weave normal attacks between our skill usages, so my hand was hopping between the mouse and keyboard slower than my friends hopping online after saying 5 minutes. Next up is the Ruin Guard, and I've got to say, my aim with my left hand is starting to get real good. Maybe I'll become ambidextrous after I complete this challenge. But you know what, I didn't even bother with the Ruin Guard. There's no way I'd hit 2 eye shots fast enough to stun it. And after a bunch of skills, we make our way towards Dalduba Gorge for the next 2 tiers. What the fuck? Can you stop? Can you go away please? Let me goon in peace. Oh my god. Now a cool thing with the camera is that when you walk sideways, the camera angle moves very so slightly. So even if you don't have access to the mouse, you can still somewhat change the way you're facing. Look, it barely moves, but that's okay. The size doesn't matter. What matters is it's there and it's doing something. To finish off this domain, we make this mage wet, and then we watch Venti get NTR'd, which marks the end of Act 2. Okay, I'll take a sucrose.
I heard you've been to
That's pretty good. Another neat trick is if you're climbing a wall, the camera automatically rotates to your back, but that's only if you're really lazy and don't want to spend an extra 2 seconds moving your mouse. And speaking of lazy, I think I had about a 50% rate of hitting these monuments here. Worse accuracy than left hand Amber. Bro. You can't do this with no... Okay, here we go.
Animo slimes are
Alright,
airborne
I have to be
creatures.
careful
They have
here
marks
and
on the
not
ground
trigger
unless
Xiangling's
someone
cutscene.
stepped on one to take off. Wait, are you telling me people actually do that? Ooh, hey, what do you think this is?
We're safe, we're safe. Now, why is this? Xiangling's cutscene automatically starts if you reach a certain area around here. Now, if you don't know, in a regular story run, triggering Xiangling's story quest is detrimental because of 3 reasons. The first one is that it doesn't provide a lot of XP. It's a lot better to go to Dragonspine or Liyue and start doing quests there instead. The second reason is it doesn't unlock any significant or important waypoints. You're kind of just running around for the whole quest with nothing of any extra value gained. Lastly, Charlene's quest is a bit of a time waster, and even if you don't finish it, you are still required to do a decent chunk of her quest because she later blocks Razor's quest, which is mandatory because it's a prerequisite for Dainsleif's quest. Now, being the stupid chungus I was, I forgot that Razor's quest only can be started after Monster Act 3, and if you could already tell by the length of the video, I ain't beating myself past that. A whole 40 to 50 hour run is a bit too long, I can't lie. My hand was starting to feel sore, my arm was getting a bit numb, but enough about that, it is time to drop bombs on hilly trails. Now at first, I thought this was going to be hard because I forgot what the keybind for the bombs were, even though I've done this quest so many times. But it just happened to be E, so no problem, we unleashed our load onto these unsuspecting hilly trails and then made our way towards Raptor. Bro. Now speaking of main story, how did you all find the new Not Cry content? I feel like there's a lot of characters in the new cast that I'm looking forward to. I already have a few that I myself want to pull and do challenge runs for, but what about you all? What are your favorites from the bunch? Let me know in the comments below and maybe I'll even think about doing challenge runs for them. But let's talk about Lisa's quest real quick. We could have skipped the first part of the domain, but I was pretty sure that this is one of the skips where you needed a mouse for because of the precise turns and movement, so we just completed it normally because we had Lisa in the party. Oh, I forgot that was there. You can tell that I don't do this domain. I did not know that was there. Ah, let's do it. Oh my god. And after a bit of grinding, we hit AR 18, which means we can make our way back to the winery and start Act 3. What better way to commemorate Act 3 than to eat another banana? Now I've gotta say, my banana peeling skills have gotten a lot better. Look at how clean I was this time. Amazing improvement. Bon appetit. That is a good banana. Oh, banana on my table. Alright, back to gooning impact. Now realistically, I'm not going to do any more than one stat here. This is not doing wonders for my back. My body right now is severely disproportioned and my left arm is starting to go numb. So I don't think this is a very good long-term challenge. With that being said, 10,000 likes and I play with my feet. I think the team that we have right now is pretty solid. Even though it's just the free characters from Mondstadt, everyone has pretty short cooldowns, so we can make use of our quick swapping. For the most part, it's probably faster if we use our prototype Rancor on Gunnar, but because the mouse only has attack and dash, it's not very ideal if we have to move around to fight enemies.
Dodge this!
You're in
Oh,
for a
he did
little
dodge
shock.
that.
It's stuck.
It's stuck.
Let's make a detour then. Heading up.
Let's make a detour then. Heading up.
Heading up.
The other problem is button inaccuracy. I haven't said anything about it this whole video, but it's a big problem that I was struggling with throughout the last 3.5 hours. Whenever I need to make a jump over to my mouse, sometimes I'd hit not just the left click, but also one of the two buttons on the side there as well. If you've seen these types of mice before, you probably know what they do, but if you don't, these buttons control the DPI, or in other words, how fast my mouse moves across the screen. The one good thing about the mouse is that the light changes color based on what option I choose, so I can always return it back to my desired DPI, but more often than not, I'm playing on a different speed than what I'm used to. It's better than my old mouse that doesn't even indicate what setting it's on, but because the buttons are so easy to accidentally hit, this was an absolute pain. And because of our rule where we couldn't change the keybinds, I had to keep it like this. Hello? I only have two. What? I'm so confused. What? What? Wait, what the which one's the one I'm missing? I thought I picked up all three. Yeah, this one's gone. That one's gone. Why do I only have two? Hello? Okay. Thank you, visual bug. But after breaking the last seal, it was now time for Dvalin. Compared to the first time we faced off against him, this one was significantly harder. The hitbox is way smaller, but after 4 hours of tough training, my left hand was in it to win it. The problem then comes down with these rings that we have to shoot down. we can't move and shoot at the same time, so what I decided to do was move in place of the ring first and then shoot it rather than having to re-aim every single time. The wind bullets basically do no damage, but they did pile up quite a bit after the first phase. But now onto the real fight, where we break the shield with Guna's normal attacks and climb up to unleash a massive burst of damage. Okay, for the most part we used Venti because child characters are just straight up broken, but even so, we had to go through 2 rotations to finally take this lizard down. I don't know why I'm climbing up his neck to hit it with Venti, that doesn't make any sense. And after Signora gave Venti blue balls, we finally finish our 4-hour, 10-minute and 27-second edging streak and beat Genshin Impact while beating myself. Honestly, not even that bad. I'm actually faster than my Mavuika Only run, but maybe that's just experience. Okay.
Hello, nice to meet you.
But that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of me beating yourself, what the hell? But otherwise, make sure you do subscribe, and like I said earlier, 10k likes and I'll beat Genshin with my feet. Don't press that like button, and I'll see you next week for Mavuika Only.